measles vaccines. A Long Island, New York man has a second chance at life after receiving a new heart, kidney, and liver, all at the same time. Reporter Jennifer McLogan has the story.
47-year-old Sergio Arias Estoni had to stop working at his Long Island factory when his 3 organs began failing, spending months at Northwell hospitals waiting and hoping.
When I started this process for the transplant in November, the last year, I just can walk a couple of blocks.
Now he walks 30 minutes a day. His regimen of dozens of daily pills will be scaled back. There has been no organ rejection. Jennifer McLogan, CBS News, New York.
Fewer than 80 triple transplants have been attempted in the United States. I'm Cammie McCormick, CBS News.
Oh, by the way, Ivan's no longer on the project. His wife got a new job, so they're moving across the country.
Robin's top researcher is deviating to a new market. This isn't standard.
And now we're short-staffed. Who's going to finish all these projects?
She needs a cluster of new data analysts, and there's no margin for error.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Weather on News Radio KMAN is brought to you by Sunset Zoo. Join the Sunset Zoo April 19th to celebrate Earth Day, featuring animal enrichment, community booths, scavenger hunts, and more.
Your News Radio KMAN weather update. Tonight, there's a 50% chance of showers, mainly before 3 a.m. Besides that, it's cloudy with a low around 36 and northeast winds getting up to 25 miles per hour. Into Sunday, there's a slight chance of rain and even snow showers before noon. Then it will gradually get more sunny with a high around 49 and wind getting as high as 30 miles per hour. Into that night, there's a low around 30, mostly cloudy skies. And into Sunday, it'll be mostly sunny with a high around 57 and some light wind. Now it's time for the game.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
If our government is needing cash, why don't they just take a cut from all these NBA fines we're seeing of guys doing finger guns? Am I crazy to think that it seems like this is happening every day?
Yeah, and there's the one main culprit with John Morant, which you might understand why he's being targeted, but also he's not the only one doing it. It's definitely it's been interesting to see that kind of progress.
What's your argument to appeal this? Look, these aren't Uzis. These are cap guns. I was doing a cap gun.
Well, I think his main plea has to be, I'm not the only one out here with the gun celebration. Why am I the only one the main guy getting fined?
Do you get double the fine if you do two finger guns? Like if you go double golden gun and point?
Well, he's been holding the shotgun. He's been
doing
going,
a shotgun. Well, man,
yeah.
I mean,
he's bringing out different calibers, different rounds.
He's not exactly bird hunting.
He's got the sawed off. It's crazy.
Yeah, if he's and then pointing, I mean, I think the intent's pretty clear there.
I don't think I've seen him cock it yet, but that might be the next step in the celebration.
No, you guys don't understand. The gun's unloaded. It's not real.
Yeah, he was unloading the gun. Yeah, he was.
I was practicing gun safety.
Welcome to the game. Mitch Fortner alongside Cole Dutchendorf and Jimmy Kaufman. We're with you until 5:30. Pre-game coverage of the Batcats as they begin Big 12 Series number 4 out of 10 this year. They're going to be down in Stillwater in a rainy, cold, and windy. Kind of like here's without the wind. Stillwater, Oklahoma, the weather going to be a factor all weekend long. We talked with Pete Hughes yesterday. He's feeling like the first pitch windows are actually going to catch a break from the weather, but fingers crossed we get everything on time and done. Because Oklahoma State has already had 2 Big 12 games canceled due to, I believe, weather. So when you're K-State, when you got a Big 12 lead, you want to stretch that lead. You want to open things up a little bit. You want to continue your hot streak. You don't want any postponements, cancellations. You want everything to go as smoothly as it possibly can. Coming up at 5:10, we'll give you extended pregame coverage. Cats taking on Oklahoma State. Can the Cats take advantage of a struggling, inconsistent, banged-up Oklahoma State team who have dealt with a ton of adversity this year, not just on the field, off the field as well, with the wildfires that were not too long ago in Stillwater that displaced a number of players from this Oklahoma State baseball team, but that's coming up at 5:10. In our first hour, we will talk a little spring football. We heard from Chris Kleiman Wednesday, more clips from Coach, plus we're going to hear from Avery Johnson. Taylor Portier, I'm glad he's back for a number of reasons, but one for sure is that he's probably the best interview on the team. And I want him at every single media availability because he's entertaining. He's honest. He's got a great sense of humor, a great personality. I asked him for a review of Avery Johnson's new soft drink. Has anybody had?
I have.
How was it?
I have
Shout
as
out
well.
to Jimmy, by the way. He's the one who gave it to me.
Yep, I got.
Whoa. You guys hanging out on the side? Like I didn't get one.
I only had one. I got given to me by by my friends over at Wildcat 91.9. They got it, so it's good though. It's good.
It's
lemonade.
a pretty. I'm a lemonade connoisseur, and even more so a strawberry lemonade connoisseur, and it's pretty solid.
Was it today?
No, this was like a
Last
week or two
week.
ago. Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a while.
I didn't know it was out that long. Has it been out that long?
Mm-hmm. And did you see that there's this stuff going around on social media about the only thing that is outselling the Avery Johnson strawberry lemonade is bananas?
I heard that. Which, I mean, do you ever go to the grocery store? If you're doing a decent amount of shopping, do you not get bananas?
It's pretty much a staple.
Yeah,
You're college kids. I mean, they're cheap.
That's a staple.
Yeah, and they're good.
Yeah.
Love bananas. 4:40, do want to talk some Final Four. We got the banner up here in studio behind Cole as we are live on YouTube. Just search for News Radio KMAN and find our live stream going right now. And even if you missed the show, you can watch it on demand at any time. But we're going to have the Final Four here on KMAN on Saturday and on Monday. We'll have the national championship with coverage at 5 o'clock. Well, the big breaking news from today, and well, at least for me, I feel like I can speak for most people. Another player into the transfer portal from K-State Hoops, back to the women's side. Zyanna Walker and Finley Onstad have entered the transfer portal. Finley didn't play for K-State. She came in last year with the recruiting class. She redshirts. She's going to move on. For Zyanna Walker, for me, it's a surprise. Cole, is this a surprise to you, Zyanna Walker? Because we had heard some rumors this could be the case. I had heard some whispers. I didn't know how much I wanted to believe them. I kind of put them aside because it was also roped in with Taryn Sides. Taryn says, I'm committed. I'm a cat. I'm staying. Didn't also get that same tweet from Zaya. Well, maybe we kind of did. I'll ask you, Cole.
The Instagram post from Zaya. It was like locked in for life with the lavender heart. So you kind of thought that might have been in a way addressing those rumors. Maybe I saw the news this morning and my jaw dropped. I mean, I didn't expect this at all. I felt like this was a team next year that was going to be a heavy dose, especially with the future of Gisela and Kennedy Taylor kind of up in the air right now. You thought that this was going to be a team led in part by Taryn Sides and Zyanna Walker, the guard duo. And instead you get that news, and it was disappointing and shocking really to me for a lot of reasons, but mainly being that you thought that those were going to be, well, Zai specifically, I mean, she's the only returning starter. The other four starters and pretty much everyone who started this year is either in the portal or graduating. So I was extremely surprised to see this, and I got to think she may have gotten some decent offers from some other schools. You know,
that's the thing. Outside of just the news that she's going into the portal, outside of that, it's complete speculation as to reasons why. My guess is where she decides to go, I think will will tell us a pretty good piece of the story as to why she decided to jump into the transfer portal. I would love to ask the coaches, like, how big of a surprise was this? Did you see it coming? Were there hints? Was this talked about prior? Or was this Zai a couple of days ago just walking to the office and saying, I'm going into the portal? Or was this from a meeting or whatever? Or is this because of maybe some potential names showing up at the portal? I don't know. We don't know. I would have to assume this has to be a little bit of a surprise because, at least a little bit, because the coaching staff really invested in Zyanna Walker. I'm not necessarily talking about NIL, talking about what she was able to show a year ago, her defensive skills, her offense growing. I say growing. Honestly, probably with Zai, it grew last year. I would say this year was probably a little bit of a frustrating year for Zai. And if you look at it this way, offensively, Zyanna Walker is replaceable. Defensively, really hard to replace. Zai's defense, the numbers didn't necessarily tell you the story of her defense. Unless you want to look at the Kentucky game, and she had 4 blocked shots in the game, only scored 1 point. Her NCAA tournament really wasn't too bad yet. She had a tournament high 9 points against USC. She made some pretty big buckets for K-State. Without her buckets, K-State's in a much bigger hole. And on top of that, her defense just had some pretty rough turnovers. But defensively, she is just so assignment sound. It's her job to guard one of the best, or not the best player on that team, from a Haley Van Lith. I would have loved to see her against Paige Beckers, to a Caitlin Clark, to a Georgia Amore from Kentucky. She has guarded some of the best players in women's college basketball the last couple of years, and she looks like she does it with ease. She's just kind of locked in, doesn't do too much, stays in front of the players she's defending, and she's going to make it tough on that player. Remember what K-State did against TCU, against Van Lith, against that team where they held him to a season-low 50 points. That was a defensive clinic, and a huge part of that was Zyanna Walker, with the trapping, with the one-on-one defense, not allowing the drive. Georgia Amore for Kentucky had, percentage-wise, a rough day.
One of the worst games of the season.
Yeah, a rough day. She still was right around her average, but if you hold Georgia Amore to an average day at best, that is a win.
And she shot 7 of 23 from the field. You will take 18 points on 23 shots. And so much of that is Zyanna's ability. Her feet are so good. She's always able to stay in front. And even if she gets out of position, the speed, the athleticism that she has, she's able to usually get back into a position where she can still make it difficult for whoever she's guarding to get a shot off, to make a good, crisp pass. And that's going to be sorely missed on this team. Even offensively, she did have her struggles. She wasn't the best jump shooter, obviously, but she's also had that ability to get downhill at times, get to the rim, and finish through contact on occasion. I do agree with you. Overall, you're going to miss her the most on the defensive end. But I think also where you're going to miss her the most is just the leadership that she would have been providing for this team next year. That's going to look almost completely different. You're losing a lot of players in terms of graduation. You're losing a lot of players in terms of the transfer portal. And even though you're adding players in the freshman class, this team is going to be completely different. So I think one area where she's going to be missed maybe the most is just that layover, that consistency. You're gonna lose someone who started every game this year for K-State.
Every game. That was 36 this season for K-State. She didn't start previously. That defense from Zai, it's shocking. It honestly, she's a Kansas kid. She was going to be, for sure, I would imagine, a starter next year. And the investment from the coaches, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless, and again, it's speculation. Was there tampering involved? I just don't know. I don't want to go too far with that. I'm sure Zai has her reasons or whatever. At the end of the day, she's got to do what she's got to do for herself. And in this day and age of college basketball, that's what people are doing. It is a bit shocking. And you're right. This is a completely different team now. If you look at what K-State has coming back, there's not really a whole lot of starters. Kennedy Taylor is interesting because that's a player you want back. She has an opportunity, maybe. There's a waiver process right now. K-State's trying to get it done. Not sure if that's going to happen or not for an extra year of eligibility. But is she a starter? There's a role on this team. I don't know if I'd call her a starter because she's a 5. She doesn't stretch out. She's a post player, but she's undersized. She's only 6'2". But that also kind of plays into how K-State wants to identify themselves moving forward, how they're going to navigate the transfer portal. How do they go different with the 5 position? Do they go a little bit more 5 out? They need some tall guards for sure. That was quite the luxury K-State had these last few years, even more than the last few years, to have 6-footers across the board. And, I would imagine that's the route K-State will go. But Gisela Sanchez is not a starter. Amani Lester is not a starter. Taryn Sides is a starter, I think. Her game is still growing. Super thrilled that she is keeping her spot here at K-State and she's not going anywhere. So, yeah, K-State's got an incredibly important recruiting
they're going to have to hit the
spring,
portal hard.
summer. Yeah.
Like extremely hard. I mean, they're losing basically all their production so this is with the addition of Zai hitting the transfer portal, and then this would be if Kennedy Taylor and Gisela Sanchez for some reason can't come back, don't come back, whatever the case may be. They're going to lose 83% of the minutes from this past season, 86% of their points, field goals, 73% of their three-point production, 88% of their blocks, 83% of their steals, and maybe most importantly, 100% of their starts.
I think we knew this was going to be a much different looking team. I think you felt a little bit okay with Zai coming back. There's at least some familiar faces coming back. Now it just kind of gets a little bit scarier.
100%.
It's now more important.
There's an extreme lack of continuity between last year's team and this year's team. It's Taryn and Amani.
It's not like the pressure of, and I'm not saying there's pressure, I'm just saying like, to replace your starting 5 is quite the chore. I mean, you need players to hit, right? You need players to pick up some. You're going to have to invest, right? You're going to have to put in some money and go find the right players with some pretty high caliber, or at least some upside. Jordan Spicer, I think, is going to be a starter. So you're probably looking for 3 players, at least 3. Because K-State right now stands at 10 scholarships. 5 can be filled. K-State probably not filling all 5. So at least a really solid 3 that can come in and start. So, yeah, very interesting. I haven't been hearing any names. Of course, it's just not as covered on the women's basketball side when it comes to the transfer portal, the ins and outs based just on team. But K-State has needs, and they kind of have needs all over the place, with maybe the exception of, well, even, point guard, because if Zai's moving on, Savant, the gal from Spain, can come in and play point guard. So, but I still feel like K-State needs a little bit of everything. Now that Zyanna Walker is gone, there's a lot of big shoes to fill. It's going to be like a men's basketball team where your starting lineup is going to be pretty much all transfer players now.
And that's the era of NIL that we're in. Granted, it's a little bit different for the K-State women because they lost so many seniors. There wasn't a lot of people to the portal that were main contributors. That was mainly Eliza and Zai, and even going further, mainly just Zyanna Walker. Maupin obviously had some minutes, but again, Zai starting in every single game. So, I mean, it's in essence a rebuild. The good thing is you have some of those building blocks already in place. You have a Jordan Spicer, you have a Taryn Sides. To a certain point, you have an Amani Lester who has big game experience. So they have those building blocks set in stone. They have a really good, a top 5 recruiting class coming in as freshmen that hopefully you're going to see them take some ownership, take the reins of this team really, and just see kind of where they can go with it. But it's no doubt that they're also going to need some hits in the portal as well.
Well, I also want to remind everybody, Alexis Hess, who is going to be a role player this year for K-State, who is she's a 6-footer. She's very athletic, got some hop to her. She could be a baller. Missed this season due to an injury. She's been with K-State now for a couple of years, and she hasn't played a minute of basketball because of redshirt and then being out. So remember that she's still on the roster. She's been working her tail off to get back and be a player who can shoot from all, from the 3, the mid-range, at the hoop. She can kind of do it all for K-State. So remember, she's there as well. It's not like panic mode or anything. There's just a lot of work to do for this program to get ready for next year. That's what everybody's doing these days. All right, let's go ahead and take a timeout. We're going to hear from Avery Johnson. We're going to hear from Taylor Portier. More from Chris Kleiman as well, as spring football is officially underway for K-State football after this timeout on the game.
Miss any of the show? Check out The Game podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and of course, NewsRadioKMAN.com. You're listening to The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while
I'm Jimmy Kaufman with a game sports update. Kansas State women's basketball took another hit on Friday after losing another player and an untapped freshman into the transfer portal. Sophomore point guard Zyanna Walker and freshman guard Finley Onstad entered the portal this morning. Walker, who was a member of the 2024-25 All-Big 12 defensive team, set career single-season highs for points, blocks, and steals this season. She started every game averaging 8.2 points per game on 40% shooting with 3.8 rebounds and 3.4 assists per game as well. The Wildcats will officially not return another player who started this season with Walker's departure unless Kennedy Taylor is able to return to Manhattan for one more season. K-State's Serena Sundell and Aoka Lee were named Women's Basketball Coaches Association All-American Honorable Mentions on Thursday. Sundell led the nation with a career high and school record for total assists, while Lee averaged a team-high 15.4 points per game on a career-high 63% field goal percentage. K-State baseball will head to Stillwater, Oklahoma for a 3-game conference series at Oklahoma State starting tonight. Pete Hughes' team holds a 1-game edge over Arizona State atop the conference standings going into the weekend and is up 2 on Kansas and Arizona. Pre-game coverage begins at 5:30 with first pitch at 6 on News Radio K-Man. Now it's back to the game.
The game continues. Mitch Fortner, Cole Dutchendorf, and Jimmy Kaufman. No relation to Carson Kaufman?
Nope.
Well, if you follow the game on Twitter, at the game KMAN, gave you a head start at getting your text in because I have K-State baseball tickets to give away. A pair to next Friday's Big 12 game against UCF to open up the 3-game series. If you want a pair of tickets to go to that game a week from tonight at Toyton Family Stadium, text any player's name from this year's team. Any player. I'm just curious of who you would text in. We already got a few coming in. And so go ahead and text the player name in now to 785-537-1350 if you want to see the Cats play UCF a week from tonight. Again, text any player's name from this year's team to 785-537-1350 from the K-State baseball team if you want to win a pair of tickets. Let's see, we got AJ Avasco, we got Maximus Martin, we got D. Kennedy. JJ Slack is the first pitcher to get a shout-out in the text. So I think it'll be fun to see all the names coming in. I think that maybe kind of represents, who their favorite player is, which I would assume. I mean, everybody who doesn't love Maximus Martin, who doesn't love home runs, he is certainly the star. AJ Avasco not too far behind, and I mean, kind of everybody else. I mean, Bear Madliak, his name is Bear, for goodness sakes.
Tough to beat.
What's the do the roar? What's the
from Shrek?
Shrek, yeah.
That's kind of becoming a thing now.
Uh-huh.
Becoming a thing.
It was Eddie Murphy's birthday yesterday.
Shout out to Eddie Murphy. Best Eddie Murphy movie is
Shrek.
I'm gonna go Shrek 2.
Oh, that's better. Yeah, Shrek 2.
Shrek 2's better than Shrek 1?
Yes. Like
Shrek
I think
1,
it's a popular
Shrek 1 is
opinion.
legendary, but Shrek 2 it meets expectations.
Monumental.
I'm a Beverly Hills Cop guy. The new one they made is actually pretty good.
Really?
I think it came out on Netflix. Never seen Beverly Hills Cop?
Nope.
80s movie. You guys are just too young, I guess.
Yeah, sorry.
Spring football is officially underway. Welcome back, Cats. They are on the practice field. Certainly storylines heading in is no doubt about it, the 105. That's going to certainly crush really anything right now. I mean, I would so love to get into the wide receivers with the transfers of Deron Tibbs, Caleb Medford, Duran Bradley, guys with some size, guys with some upside. You got Duran Bradley, who's a veteran. Offensive lineman, you're going to have a lot of new names there with George Fitzpatrick, Amos Talalele, Brandon Snee, all coming in and transferring. Just not quite sure how deep the Cats are going to be this year so far at on the offensive line. I'm be interested to know about the rotation of running back behind Dylan Edwards. Avery Johnson's even faster than he was before. Defensively, man, I mean, I think this is going to be a huge year for Chidi Obiizor, Cody Stufflebean, Tobias Nsonmi, because, got some pretty big shoes to fill there on the defensive line. Plus, at nose guard, Damian Ilalilo, Uso Seamalu, is back. Uso gets the extra year because he played JUCO football. Austin Romaine, I think it was Pro Football Focus that said Austin is the highest graded returning linebacker in college football, period, which some people love Pro Football Focus, some don't. I like to use it to K-State's benefit when it's something good. I'm going to talk about it. And then in the secondary, you're, of course, going to see some new faces. Gunnar Maldonado, Amarian Fortenberry, Quay Moss, Jaden Rowe, guys that have transferred in. And I'm very curious about Jay Sean Ross. Is he going to be kind of a Khalid Duke? Could be a linebacker, could be a defensive lineman. So many questions that not quite there to answer because they just had their first practice today, the first of 10. Typically it's 15. It's 10 because K-State used a lot of their time, extra time, to just get in the weight room, get into the conditioning, working out, making the bodies quicker, making the bodies stronger. Coach Kleiman was asked the questions about, on the offense and the defense, kind of what are the storylines, the goals, the mindset, about these two sides of the football. When it comes to the offense, we're actually going to start with, because it's really circled around coaching. And we'll start with LePack and Luke Wells. Brian LePack now on the offensive line, working the offensive line. Luke Wells, tight ends coach.
Having Coach LePack and Drew Little running our offensive line, I'm excited about those two guys with that offensive line. We've got some new faces. We've got some older faces. I think there's a good mesh there. There's got great competition there. And then to get Luke Wells with our tight ends, which is a really experienced group, and getting Luke acclimated to that side and to those guys.
And, of course, the other part of that is going to be Matt Wells. Matt Wells, quarterback's coach, but also taking over now as the full-time offensive coordinator. He's going to be calling the plays, and how does his mindset for an offense now it gets acclimated with the guys on offense and what he has to work with. If you know anything about Matt Wells, the mindset of what Chris Kleiman already has compared to Matt Wells, it's not too different than what they had at Texas Tech, maybe besides the absolute speedsters, a wide receiver, high-scoring games, just all offense. But there was still, for Matt Wells at like Texas Tech and other stops, there was still value in a balanced offense with running and throwing the football, flexing out tight ends. I don't think the look is going to be too much, but it was brought up that coach said you'll probably see some changes of the offense. That doesn't mean it's a wholesale change. It's just working in the philosophy of Matt Wells and throwing his wrinkle to the offense, which I also have my thoughts as well on how you could change the offense. More of a rotation at running back, I think, is a possibility. A better route tree for the wide receivers. That's something on PowerCat Game Day we maybe have talked about every week, that the wide receivers, it's like they don't have as much freedom as they should to run different routes. It was a little bit too repetitive. I'd like to see some change on second downs. It was too run after maybe a bad play on first down. A little bit too predictable. There's ways K-State can change for the most part, but Matt Wells now just starting to really work in his philosophy now that they're on the field and practicing.
And you got to think that the marriage between Matt Wells and Avery Johnson has to be going perfectly at this point. I think Avery basically said as much in the press conference, with that familiarity, obviously, from last year with Coach Wells in the quarterback's room, and then now getting to that higher role as obviously he's, yes, going to be in control of the entire offense, but also still working very much hand in hand with Avery Johnson. He talked about, I think it was maybe when you interviewed him right after he got that job, about going over every single incompletion that Avery had thrown over the season and figuring out, where it's Avery's footwork, where it's maybe a play call here or there, just figuring out, assessing everything, assessing the season as a whole. I, for one, am extremely excited to see what the offense looks like with another year under Avery's belt, with all the experience that Matt Wells has had already as a coach on this staff and then progressing, moving forward. I think the offense could be really fun to watch. And that's exciting because you think maybe the defense is going to be the strong suit of the team with how many people and how many players they're returning, especially that front seven on the defensive side.
Well, it appears that K-State, especially a wide receiver, has found guys that know how to battle for the football. They have a little bit more size. Duran Bradley is a good example of that. But Matt Wells is going to want guys that are strong, great with their hands, and also have that speed. So I kind of go back to the storyline of how much they put into the spring, more work, not necessarily on the practice field, but the work in the weight room. The work on the field is in running sprints, working on their conditioning, and now we've seen for the first time in program history, guys register 23 miles per hour sprinting. And they had 4 guys that reached that, and one of those guys is Avery Johnson. So does maybe freeing Avery to run the football a little bit more, an extra wrinkle to the offense. And then here's what Coach Kleiman had to say about the defense.
So fortunate, got everybody back again. And this is how many years running now that on defense we have everybody back. So the continuity is there. We, just like a lot of other schools, had kids have season-ending surgery that aren't going to participate in spring ball. The Cody Stufflebeans, Des Purnell's not. There's a handful of those guys, Colby McAllister, that we know are going to be a factor, going to play for us, but won't be involved in spring ball.
So, yeah, unfortunately, a little bit light maybe in some areas, but maybe an opportunity for guys that are kind of on that cutting room floor, maybe on the bubble, being including in the 105 or not. We'll get a little bit of an extra opportunity there. Going back to the 105 for a moment here, Sports in Kansas put out a tweet yesterday, and it kind of brings you home on exactly how big of a change this is for college football. Chris Kleiman hates this rule, hates that rosters are now being cut down to 105. Everybody can be on scholarship, but K-State would never use all of that. That's just not going to happen. Hardly anybody's going to probably do that. You still have room for the walk-ons, but it's just much less of an opportunity to still practice full go in times like this when you do have guys down. This is going to change the landscape of college football forever. There's multiple other reasons, but specifically with Kansas State, you guys are a lot younger than me. Maybe I'm just more familiar with this, especially with the names I'm about to bring up that Sports in Kansas tweeted out. There are so many guys that if I just mention their name, probably some highlights pop into your head. It takes you back to another era of K-State football that was also very fun. The walk-on at K-State has been ginormous through this history from Bill Snyder to now. Has been huge. Jordy Nelson, Will Geary, John McGraw, Ryan Mueller, Ian Campbell, B.J. Finney, Joe Hubner, Cody Cook. Cody Cook, brother, we needed you to quarterback a little bit, wide receiver. That was actually a little bit of fun, although it wasn't a great year. Crazy year for injuries at quarterback. Jonathan Truman from back in the, not too long, but feels like back in the day now. From Chris Tennant to Harry Trotter. Blake Lynch, little old Blake Lynch, Devin Anktel, punter for K-State. Not so long ago for Hayden Gillum, who's currently on the team, Sam Hecht from Mill Valley. You want to go back even further, Joe Bob Clements, he was an Emporia kid. Ty Bowman, Blaze Gammon from the Ron Prince era. Who remembers Daniel Gonzalez? He was a Kansas kid, Andover Central. You could go on and on and on. Also, how about Dalton Schoen? I think that's a super important name to bring up because, a bit of a late bloomer. He got an opportunity late, but he became kind of a go-to guy for K-State very early on in the Kleiman era. And now look at him now. He is a star in the Canadian Football League. He is one of the biggest names north of the border. So that's a long list of guys that the majority of them would not have had a shot potentially to become what they were because of this cut down of the roster.
Those are some of the best stories in sports, not only just for K-State, but also just across the board. When you have the feel-good stories of the walk-ons who maybe didn't get a great shot or all of their offers were at the lower level to come into a high D1 program and blossom and grow. And now you just think that with the limit, you're not going to see that as much. There's still going to be those cases of the walk-ons who are able to find a place on a team and be able to grow their talent and take that next step. But you feel like it's going to become more limited, more hit and miss, which is, I think that takes away such a great aspect, specifically the football level at D1.
I should take back what I said about Dalton Schoen as a late bloomer. His numbers weren't they're a lot tighter throughout his career than I actually thought they were. Because I swore felt like he was like a 600 or 700 yard receiver back in 2019. He had some other guys to compete for playing time with, of course, but he was a starter. 759 yards, or 579 yards his senior year, 520 his junior year. Actually had 470 his sophomore year, so excuse me. He was more of a factor than I thought he was early on in his career. All right, let's take a timeout. A reminder, we got a lot of spring football coverage to come in the coming weeks. We're going to have press conferences every week, so stay tuned here on K-Man. We're going to hear from Avery Johnson and Taylor Portier after a timeout, plus can Houston win a national championship for the Big 12? Still to come in hour one of the game.
Your home for K-State Sports.
Again, Freeman looking to the end zone, man open, touchdown! Unbelievable! Fingers again, and this Kansas State crowd, they are exploding!
This is The Game on News Radio, KMAN.
Get your passport, sunscreen, and week's vacation ready for an all-expense-paid trip to Cabo San Lucas, courtesy of You Stop Phillips 66 and Friendship House. Your chance to get registered to become an instant finalist this week is at Midland Exteriors, just off Highway 24 on Southport Drive. Stop into Midland Exteriors all week and register for your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to Cabo San Lucas. On this Saturday, between noon and 1 p.m., 10 instant finalists will be one step closer for their chance to win. So get into Midland Exteriors and get registered today. Passport to Cabo is brought to you by You Stop Phillips 66 and Friendship House.
Friends, this is your personal invitation to visit Midland Exteriors Open House Saturday, April 12th from 11 to 4. Get ready for outdoor games, food and refreshments, exclusive giveaways, and unbeatable discounts on what your home's exterior requires. Plus, you can meet K-State stars Avery Johnson and Joe Jackson. They'll be signing autographs from 1 to 3. Midland Exteriors Open House Saturday, April 12th from 11 to 4 at 8226 Southport Drive. Learn more at midlandexteriors.com.
Blueville Nursery's Horticulture Hints radio show comes to your radio every Friday morning at 10 a.m. We will discuss timely gardening and landscape topics to help you keep your lawn and garden in tip-top shape. Blueville Nursery has been your local landscape service and garden store for over 50 years, and we want to share our time-tested techniques with you. From vegetable gardening, spring and summer annuals, to shade trees and lawn care, we'll cover it all. You're welcome to call into the show to ask questions that apply to your own landscape or garden. Stay tuned to Blueville Nursery's Horticulture Hints radio show every Friday at 10 a.m. right here on News Radio KMAN.
Suicide is preventable, and help is always available. If you're feeling hopeless or overwhelmed, you're not alone. Every day, lives are saved when people reach out for support. Pawnee Mental Health is here to help you through the hard moments, because your life matters. Call our 24/7 crisis hotline at 1-800-609-2002 or visit us at 1558 Hayes Drive in Manhattan to begin your path to healing. Remember, there is hope and there is help. Let's take the first step together.
The Ramsey Show.
So I am 20 years old, straight out of high school.
Your News Radio KMAN weather update. Tonight we're looking at a 50% chance of rain, mainly before 3 a.m. Besides that, it'll be cloudy with a low around 36 and northeast wind getting as high as 25 miles per hour. Into Saturday, there's a slight chance of rain and even snow showers before noon, then a slight chance of rain right before 1 p.m. Besides that, it'll be cloudy and gradually get more sunny as the day goes on with a high near 49. That night, we're looking at a low around 30, mostly cloudy, and into Sunday, mostly sunny. Now back to the game.
With you until 5:30, Mitch Fortner, Cole Dutchendorf, and Jimmy Kaufman. Hear from Avery Johnson, Taylor Portier, a couple of clips from those guys here in just a second. A reminder, if you want to win some K-State baseball tickets to the game a week from tonight at Twitton Family Stadium against UCF, text any player's name from this year's team to 785-537-1350. These tickets will be given away to a random winner right before Ask Us Anything, right around 5:25. All right, let's hear from Avery Johnson. Pulled a couple of clips from his short press conference with the media back on Wednesday. He says this year and this spring and heading into next year, where he's growing is as a leader.
Really just my leadership abilities and, being able to command the whole team and step in front of guys like that and continue to get guys to buy into, our goals and what we're really striving for. And if anybody's not bought into this team and doesn't want what's in the best interest of the team, then we just have to move forward without them.
Boy, that's a message to those guys that may be thinking portal coming up here, opening up here soon. Those guys may be on the bubble of the 105. Time to step up. Time to see your buy-in. And also got to touch on the new wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm really excited for them. From JB, Tibbs, Caleb, JD. Got some young up-and-coming freshmen, and we got some guys still ready to come in this summer. But really excited for those guys and just ready to get out there and throw some live routes with them and see how they can compete against our defense.
All right, some soft answers there from Avery Johnson, but from Taylor Portier. Got to touch on his body for a moment. We talked about this earlier. You're going to see – I think maybe the biggest takeaway so far is just the body transformations. Avery Johnson, he was kind of body shamed last spring, and now he's all cut up. He's got abs. He's running fast. Taylor Portier dropped some pounds. Here is his comment about his improving his body.
I put on 8 pounds of muscle, and I lost 5 pounds of fat. So looking in the mirror, it looks a little bit more better. Maybe not to everybody else. I can see a little difference in my body, so I feel a whole lot better.
I'm curious to see the other lineman because he didn't look like a lineman when he walked in. He did look a little bit more jacked, but his clothes were a little bit baggy. You could tell. I'm not saying he's the biggest fatty in the world or anything. You think offensive line, you maybe sometimes think gut. Nobody really has a gut, I would say. But Taylor Portier has certainly slimmed down. So
he got leaner.
He did. And I was surprised they only dropped like 5 pounds of fat. I don't know exactly what I was expecting. I was just expecting him to say, oh, man, I lost 20 pounds. He said he stopped eating fast food. He also commented on coming back this year.
It was kind of more like in my own thoughts. Most of those games, like it never really felt like it was like my last time, if that makes any sense. Like spiritually, and it really never felt like it was my last time out of here. That's pretty much why I kind of decided to come back. Like my brother would ask me if I was going to come back. I said heck no. But honestly, just kept thinking to myself like, was this my last ride? And it really wasn't. So glad to come back another year.
Yep, because with his bout with injuries, it's kind of like an Aoka Lee story. He's going to get another year of eligibility. And then he did try Avery Johnson's new soft drink.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I had it this past Saturday. It was pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. It was pretty good. It threw me off for a second because I know it was striped lemonade. I just kind of just knew it was a drink. But it was actually pretty good coming out of a can, so I recommend it, honestly. Go get that one.
I'm going to go to Hy-Vee after the show, and I'm going to go get some.
You need to. We need to get a review.
I'm going to bring him in studio. We're going to do a review next week. I promise that. Let's go ahead and take our last break of the hour. We're going to get from Cole. We're going to get from Jimmy. Do you think Houston can win a national championship for the Big 12? That's next on The Game.
Game on. Tweet the game, KMAN, or call 537-1350 and get in touch with the show. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
American Family Insurance.
At American Family Insurance, your small business is a big deal to us. You face challenges and you work hard to achieve your goals. As your American Family agent and business owner right here in your community, I've faced that too. I've built my business with the vision of helping you protect yours. Contact us today to see how we can protect what you've worked so hard to build with customized coverage that fits your needs. This is Rob Wild, agent at Wild & Associates, LLC.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
As the seasons change, our commitment to severe weather doesn't. No matter the time of year, we always keep you informed. Severe storms, flash floods, tornadoes, even blizzards. We track every storm to give you accurate, up-to-date information. We're always watching so you don't have to. News Radio KMAN, your trusted source for severe weather updates. When the storm hits, we've got you covered. Powered by Candlewood Veterinary Clinic, Manhattan Wrecker,
Hummel Tree Service, and Tall Grass Windows.
At Stormontville Health, our patients are our neighbors and our communities are home.
We invest in your health and our community by bringing high-quality healthcare closer to home. From our Wamego Clinic to our new campus in Manhattan and the Flint Hills Hospital in Junction City. Our partnerships with organizations like the Mayo Clinic and the Children's Miracle Network bring top-notch expertise to our region. We take pride in local collaboration to stay connected to our communities. Visit StormontVale.org.
Stormontville Health, high quality care closer to home.
Manhattan Broadcasting Company is an equal opportunity employer. In order to widely publicize our job opportunities and outreach programs and organizations that regularly distribute information to job seekers or refers candidates to employers, please contact us about our employment contact list to receive the most current.
Women's Final Four is tonight. I think it's going to be a pretty good one. Texas, South Carolina leads things off at 6, and then at 8:30 is UConn and UCLA. Give me UConn and South Carolina to move on. I like UConn winning the national championship. On the men's side, we will have coverage here on K-Man. A bit of a late start on Saturday because of the Bad Cats. We'll get most of Houston and Duke on the air, and then we'll have the national championship here on K-Man beginning at 5 o'clock. Cole, we'll start with you. We got Florida and Auburn in Game 1 at 5 o'clock on Saturday. At about 7:50 is Houston and Duke. Two very interesting matchups. Do you think Houston can do it all? Can they get a Big 12 championship for the Big 12? I would really like the timing of that. Big 12 was not the best in the country this year, but what an opportunity to get back on top.
I think they can. I think whoever wins that game is going to take down whichever SEC team emerges from the other side. I think Houston's defense, I mean, you can't say enough positive things about the Cougar defense. They've been amazing all year long, and it's been the case. I mean, they held Tennessee, Tennessee to 15 points in the first half of their Elite Eight game. I believe it was the least amount of points scored by a 1 or 2 seed ever in the first half of a game. Not in the Elite Eight ever. So I mean that defense is legit, and they do enough offensively. They have the shooters that can hit some timely shots. They can get to the rim. So I think they can. And I think if they can try to, easier said than done. If they can limit Cooper Flagg, which again that's the number 1 overall pick, Player of the Year, Naismith Player of the Year, they can try to slow him down a little bit, just make things more difficult, and I think they can with their length and their athleticism. I think they can get it done, and I would like them against either Florida or Auburn.
Houston, the third best odds according to Vegas, or actually coming from ESPN Bet, or most of these folks from Vegas anymore. Houston plus 500. It is even for Duke. Even money for Duke. Florida at plus 285. Auburn has the worst odds at 550. Jimmy, you want to get on this? You want to give us 2 cents? Think Houston can get it done?
Yeah, I think Houston, I think I trust their defense more than I would trust anyone else to be proficient at their kind of strength. Houston's biggest strength is their defense. And I think even though Cooper Flagg just got voted to be AP National Player of the Year, right? Mm-hmm. That was just today. Even though he's National Player of the Year, I don't know. I feel like their youth is going to catch up to them eventually, and I trust Houston's defense just stay solid. I have them winning my bracket. So
that's interesting. Duke is the youngest team left in the NCAA tournament, March Madness. Houston is the best defensive team, but Duke, according to KenPom, they're the most offensive. They're the most efficient offense in the history of KenPom. This year's Duke team, so that's going to be an interesting clash. But also, don't forget. Houston is scoring pretty well in the NCAA tournament, and Duke is pretty solid on defense. They're kind of right there when it comes to the two best defenses left in the tournament. You have Houston, you have Duke. Meanwhile on the The Auburn-Florida game. I'm actually pretty stoked for Auburn that they kind of found their stride. I predicted them only because I predicted them to win the NCAA tournament. But really, Florida, offensively, like even Duke really isn't at their pace right now because they're kind of shooting it lights out. Auburn, what's that guy's name?
Jahmai Broome.
Broome.
Or Janai, I think.
He had that injury scare during the Elite Eight, but he's going to be fine. If it's not Cooper Flagg, it's that guy. Like up for all the National Player of the Year honors. Very good, but Florida right now is playing better basketball. Offensively, they may be actually the scariest right now, but Duke does have the track record all season long of being super efficient, of course, on offense.
And Florida's been doing it at the right time, too. I mean, they got down big against Texas Tech late, and they put together a couple of possessions in a row of just amazing offense. It was a great second half against Maryland. They've been playing some timely basketball over the last couple of games.
I unfortunately am going to take Duke to beat Houston. I'm going to take Florida to beat Auburn. And I think Duke wins the national championship. Now I'm going to flip that. What was I saying? I'm going to take Florida to win the national championship. They're shooting right now. They're shooting about 60% from two in the tournament. That is insane. Short hour 2, we're going to talk K-State baseball, get you set for the weekend series. The leader in the Big 12 against the worst team in the Big 12. That's coming up next.
What? You want more? You got more. More of the game coming up next on News Radio KMAN, Manhattan.
From the KMAN Manhattan Mercury Newsroom, I'm Bernie Pansala with your 5 p.m. news update. School officials are moving forward on a 7-year contract for ELA curriculum after 2 years of research and a successful pilot this year. The Manhattan-Ogden School Board unanimously approved the purchase and adoption of Ready Magnetics ELA high-quality instructional materials, which guides how literacy is taught in the classrooms based on current state ELA standards. Angie Motley, a 5th grade teacher at Amanda Arnold, says her students found stories included within the curriculum to be engaging.
It was rough at the beginning, and it'll be rough for students just starting it because they're not used to that much written response to their reading, but it's paid off because they did amazing.
As students prepare for state assessments, teachers are seeing improved readiness. Robin Witten teaches 5th grade at Oliver Brown Elementary.
I see them taking notes, and I know that they're listening to what the teachers are saying.
Several elementary and middle school classrooms have been piloting Ready's ELA resources this year. 2 people escaped serious injury when a car and pickup collided at a busy Manhattan intersection Wednesday evening. According to the Riley County Police Department, it happened shortly before 5:30 p.m. at Tuttle Creek Boulevard and Kimball Avenue when a passenger car driven by Deanna Nelson of Riley struck a pickup driven by Craig Carlson of Manhattan, causing the pickup to roll onto its side. Police say 2 people inside the truck became entrapped but didn't require medical transport from the scene. Further details about the crash weren't immediately available. A former state lawmaker was honored Thursday by the League of Women Voters of Manhattan and Riley County. Tom Hawk of Manhattan was presented the organization's Good Government Award. He says there is value in getting involved at the community level with groups like the League of Women's Voters.
One of our dilemmas is convincing young people that this is the way they can engage and make a difference in their communities. And ultimately, it's their pathway if they have other ambitions and want to make bigger impact, like run for the legislature. You have to get to know people, and you can't really get to know people electronically.
State Senator Anthony Hensley was the keynote speaker at Thursday's event at Meadowlark Hills.
I served with Tom in the Senate and really enjoyed his bipartisan approach to everything. And his positive attitude about, trying to work with people across the aisle. And
Hawk served 3 terms in the Kansas House before being elected to the Kansas Senate in 2012. He retired midway through his 3rd term. He also worked 33 years for the USD 383 School District.
Your News Radio KMAN weather update. Tonight we're looking at a chance of showers before 3 a.m., about a 50% chance. Besides that, it's cloudy with a low around 36 and northeast winds getting as high as 25 miles per hour, so keep your coats on. Into Saturday, there's a slight chance of rain and even snow showers before noon. Then it will get cloudy and gradually become more sunny throughout the day with a high near 49. Into that night, it'll be mostly cloudy with a low around 30. And into Sunday, we're looking at mostly sunny and a high near 57. Now back to the game.
Man, it is a bummer that we're not allowed to play music on the podcast or on the live stream anymore because of copyright reasons. We're playing the America's Funniest Home Videos original theme song. So if you're listening live online or on the air, you're getting this absolute ditty. Man, what a great theme song. It was on my top 100 that I did last summer, my top 100 TV themes. If you have not seen that, by the way, search for or follow me on Twitter at Mitch the Fort. You can search for it. You'll find it. I'm telling you, it's a great 15 minutes of your life.
I've actually never heard that theme song before.
Well, you're way too young for it. Have you ever heard of Bob Saget?
Oh, of course I know Bob Saget.
So Bob Saget was the host, and it started in the late 80s. So when Bob Saget was doing Full House, he was also doing America's Funniest Home Videos, which he was the original host for. And live studio audience, 30 minutes or an hour show. Like if you ever watch it today, it's still on. But he was the original host. It started before you guys were born, actually before I was even born. That was the original theme.
I love AFV. I was there for the Tom Bergeron days.
Sure. Oh, I love Tom Bergeron.
He was my favorite. I love him.
Did you ever see Tom Bergeron host Hollywood Squares?
No.
Fantastic.
Isn't that back on now?
Yeah, but it's not like an everyday thing.
Yeah.
It's like weekly.
I saw one episode. I don't think I understand the concept of the show.
Oh, it's pretty easy. Agree or disagree. And there's all these comedians and funny people, they give a funny answer, then, oh, haha, no, it was this the real answer, but is it true or is it not? That's how, I think it's pretty easy.
Oh, man, yeah, easy watch.
Give it another chance. Yeah. Give it another chance. Okay. Brian Smoller standing by at O'Brien Stadium in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Let's have our fingers crossed that the weather holds up all weekend. It's rainy, it's windy, it's a bit chilly, and I'm not just talking about here in Manhattan, because down in Stillwater it's a tad bit warmer, but they have a north wind right now at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. And I mean tonight, off and on chance of showers and possibly thunderstorms, but we're hoping that holds off. And hopefully things kind of clear up, not like the clouds or anything, but like with the rain right around 6:30 or even before that, as we got first pitch just after 6 o'clock here on News Radio KMA. And a pregame coverage will be at 5:30. Brian Smoller is on the call. So taking a look at this series, first of all, K-State is 20-8. They're 8-1 in Big 12 play. They've won 11 of their last 12. And 4 of their last 6, or I should say they're 4-6 on the road. Oklahoma State, 12-14 overall. They're 1-6 in conference play. They had 2 games actually canceled against West Virginia. But in their last 8, they're just 2-6, but they are 7-3 at home. For K-State, this will be quad 2 games. K-State really hasn't actually played many quad 2 games. It's where they don't measure up quite yet. When it comes to those that are kind of ranked higher than them, they've all played a bunch of quad 2. K-State not quite yet. Decent amount for sure of quad 1. The rest are 3 and 4 for the most part. Before we continue on, a reminder, I am giving away a pair of tickets to K-State baseball a week from tonight, opening up its series against UCF at Toyton Family Stadium. And if you want to win these tickets at the end of this segment, text any player's name from this K-State baseball team this year to 785-537-1350. Again, any player's name from this year's team to 785-537-1350. You could be randomly selected to win a pair of tickets to next Friday's game. Oklahoma State, preseason ranked in the top 25. They were preseason picked to win the Big 12 championship. So why are they dead last in the Big 12? I mean, they have played multiple number 1 teams in the nation. They even beat, at the time, Texas A&M. They played back-to-back number one teams in the nation. Hung tight with Tennessee, but they beat A&M. Well, A&M, like Oklahoma State, is not what everybody thought they would be. Texas A&M is also struggling this year. But the Cowboys have been a competitive squad off and on, but they have losses to Illinois State. They have losses to Missouri State. They've lost to Winthrop. Who knew they had a baseball team? And also on top of that as well, this team has been still dealing with the wildfires that took place in Stillwater. That displaced a number of the players on their team, so they've had to deal with that as well. Oklahoma State was the runner-up in the Big 12 last year. They were just a few games away from potentially tying for the Big 12 championship with their rival, the Oklahoma Sooners, before the Sooners left for the SEC. Now, when it comes to pitching, this is where the big drop-off has been for Oklahoma State this year, because last year they were loaded. That was their heart and soul, especially with their starting lineup. You're talking about 3 weekend guys that all went in the MLB draft, so Josh Holliday was tasked to rebuild that. Now, they got a left-handed transfer from Hawaii. His name is Harrison Bodendorf. I'm guessing a distant relative with the Dorf at the end of one Cole Dutchendorf. Have you heard that last name before?
I believe that's my third cousin.
Third cousin?
Yes.
Okay. All the Dorfs have to be related.
Correct.
He's made 7 appearances. He's going to start tonight. He's got an ERA of 4.41. He's not too bad. They'll have Gabe Davis as an All-American preseason favorite, but his ERA right now at about 5.52. We'll see if he starts. Right now, only 2 starters have been announced, and right now the Saturday starter has only 1 start this year. He's been mostly a bullpen guy. But through the games this year, and also during the 4-game losing streak that they're right now on, only 1 starter has recorded more than 9 outs. So starters right now for Oklahoma State are just not going deep. They're not consistent. Right now as a staff, Oklahoma State's ERA really isn't too bad. It's at 5.08. I will say their strikeouts are up. They're at 10.5 per 9. That's actually one of the best numbers in the country. But they're giving up hits. They sometimes will allow innings to get a little bit out of control. And you're going to hear this as a consistent part of this conversation, but Oklahoma State can be inconsistent. I mean, you can almost maybe call them the K-State men's basketball of K-State or of Big 12 baseball this year. Right now at the bottom of the pile was projected to be pretty decent, but they're missing on the consistency. K-State's ERA, by the way, is 5.12, so pretty competitive there. Now, for the Cowboy offense, they've shown a couple of things this year. They can hit home runs, but they also strike out. It's kind of an what are you going to give us? It's an either or. Are you going to give us home runs? Are you going to give us strikeouts? Because right now, Oklahoma State does have 42 home runs on the year. That's the 3rd best number in the Big 12. K-State right now 2nd in the Big 12 in home runs. But Oklahoma State has one of the worst batting averages in the conference at .265, and they strike out 10.6 times every 9 innings. Those are 2 pretty rough numbers when you're halfway into the season. Now, K-State is one of the best in the country with over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings, and they have allowed 28 home runs this year. That is middle of the pack of the Big 12. Oklahoma State is not a threat to steal bases for the most part. And when it comes to the lineup, they got a couple of heavy hitters. Colin Brueggemann and Nolan Schubart. They're both hitting over 300, and as regular starters, pretty good batting average to be over 300. They have Alex Conover, who's hitting 378. He's not an everyday starter. He only has 8 starts this year, but he has been a pleasant surprise for the Oklahoma State lineup. Outside of that, here's where the inconsistency comes in. There has been struggles for Oklahoma State to offer consistent production. They are 12th in the league in runs scored, and this is not a sport where the Big 12 has 16 teams. The Big 12 has 14 teams, so they're the 3rd worst team in scoring runs. Well, we know K-State's one of the best teams in scoring runs. K-State's won 11 of the last 12 games, and only one time has K-State failed to score more than 5 runs. And 5 runs is kind of where Oklahoma State's kind of averaging out in runs per game. And another issue for Oklahoma State, they've had injuries pile up. They've had 2 everyday guys that could possibly be everyday guys in the starting lineup, they've been out. They're not going to play this weekend. So Oklahoma State's banged up as well. They've had a lot of things just not go their way. So that being said, I want to bring up one more thing. It's no secret now that K-State baseball is really good. It is probably way better. I'll use way better than what we were expecting preseason-wise for K-State. They had to reload so many positions. They had to go deep into the transfer portal. They needed guys to play in the field. They needed hitters, and they needed pitchers. And they have struck gold with this year's recruiting class, transfer portal, freshmen. Got a handful of freshmen that are playing. A.J. Avasco, Dante Lewis are really coming through right now for K-State. And it's a deadly batting lineup. You know, pitching, not every day has it been 100% solid, but it's better than last year. And there's a number of signs that show that. But my question is, can K-State take advantage of Oklahoma State that's right now wounded and vulnerable? The weather's going to be a factor. Can K-State lock in and take care of business? They should. On paper, K-State should take care of business and go down to O'Brate Stadium and sweep Oklahoma State. But we know historically that's been a tough place for K-State to go win, and I wouldn't count out Oklahoma State. They can still win some ball games. It's baseball. It's not as predictable. It's kind of harder to predict sometimes. But what I'd really love to see K-State do is kind of stretch their lead, because even though it's pretty early, I think there's an opportunity for K-State to maybe build a little bit of breathing room in the Big 12, and especially this early, and how always the Big 12 in baseball is super tightly contested. Every single year, the Big 12 comes down to the last weekend, and it's going to come down to probably the last game or two. I mean, the last decade, only one time has the Big 12 been decided by more than 2 games. Well, that year was 2016. It's happening every year. It is a super tight conference at the top every single year. Nobody runs away with the Big 12. Arizona plays Arizona State this weekend. Now, if you're familiar with the Big 12 standings and where everybody's at, K-State's in first place alone. They have a game lead. Arizona State's tied for third. Arizona State is in second. So what happens between those two? These are going to be games at Arizona State. It's a 3-game series. Can they beat each other up? KU is at UCF. UCF isn't great. They're 3-6, but KU's going on the road. They're tied for third in the Big 12. Can UCF give K-State a favor before they come to Toyton Family Stadium next weekend? And West Virginia is going to be hosting Utah. Utah is struggling in the Big 12, but I still think they're a decent team. West Virginia is 5-4. So this is going to be a very interesting weekend to follow, because there is an assumption that K-State should take care of business. This should be a series win at the very least for the Bad Cats. But can they grow a little bit of breathing room? K-State has loaded up the lineup. They're going with all their heavy hitters, their best hitters at the front of the lineup. They're looking to make a statement early in Stillwater and hopefully keep that statement through the 3-game series. All right, one more time. Here is the big warning. You have a couple of more minutes. And this is fun. Nobody has given me the same name, so that's pretty fun. All right, so you have one more opportunity to text in a K-State baseball player's name and to win tickets to next Friday's game against UCF. So text a player's name. It can be anybody to 785-537-1350. We're going to take a timeout, and we're going to draw for that random winner in just a moment. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to get your text in. Your last chance. A player's name from K-State baseball to 785-537-1350 to win 2 tickets to this coming Friday's game against UCF at Toyton Family Stadium. We got Bear Madliak, and even we got a bear emoji. I love that. Shintaro Inoue. We got JJ Slack. We got Maximus Martin. We got AJ Avasco. A shout out to Nick English, who is having a struggling sophomore season. But we're going to see him in the lineup. We got another text for Bear in there. We now got another text about Maximus Martin. Not seeing any like Dante Lewis. No D. Kennedy yet. All right, so keep texting in. 785-537-1350. I'm going to give you another 60 seconds. We play Ask Us Anything to wrap up the show next, as we got K-State baseball coming up at 5:30 on News Radio KMAN.
Miss part of the show?
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Really? Check it out on demand at 1350kman.com. You're listening to The Game on News Radio KMAN.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Dollars spent locally today help build a better community for tomorrow.
From simple things like hail damage to complete restoration, Quality Collision will keep your car looking as good as the day you bought it. And they work with all major insurance companies. Quality Collision, where quality is more than their name, it's a promise to their customers.
Connect to anywhere in the world with 5 daily flights to Dallas and Chicago when you fly local with Manhattan Regional Airport. You'll spend less time driving, saving you gas and time. And more importantly, you'll get home quicker to the ones you love. Click your next flight at flymhk.com.
It's a Paloma Paradise at Baskin-Robbins. Paloma-flavored ice cream and sorbet with mild chili peppered lime swirls. All the flavor with no alcohol. Check out our Easter cakes to complete your holiday meals. Baskin-Robbins in the Manhattan Marketplace, a Streeter family business. Our family serving yours.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Find more great local businesses plus special deals and offers when you keep it local on our website.
A new roof, not something you think about every day. Good thing Buck does. Call Buck Roofing for your free, no obligation estimate today and live comfortably under your new roof. 785-230-9379. Buck Roofing, serving Kansas for almost 20 years.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
It's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
It could be for anything. Helping a friend move.
Listening to a fellow veteran for hours, at any hour of the day.
Or just simply making time for people. A neighbor, a loved one, or even a stranger.
We're often the first to help others. There's no question about it.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Thing on the right. I just unplugged these two over right on the left side.
I'm Jimmy Goffman with a game sports update. K-State women's basketball took another hit today after losing starter Zyanna Walker and freshman guard Finley Onstad to the transfer portal this morning. Walker, who was a member of the 2024-25 All-Big 12 defensive team, set career single-season highs for points, blocks, and steals this season. She started every game last season, averaging 8.2 points per game on 40% shooting with 3.8 rebounds and 3.4 assists as well. The Wildcats will officially not return a starter from last season with Walker's departure unless Kennedy Taylor is able to return to Manhattan for one more season. On the other hand, Kansas State's Serena Sundell and Aoka Lee were named Women's Basketball Coaches Association All-American honorable mentions on Thursday. Sundell led the nation with a career high and school record for total assists with 262, while Lee averaged a team-high 15.4 points per game on a career-high 63% field goal percentage. K-State baseball will head to Stillwater, Oklahoma for a 3-game conference series at Oklahoma State, who's 1-6 in Big 12 play starting tonight. Pete Hughes' team holds a 1-game edge over Arizona State atop the conference standings and a 2-game lead on Kansas and Arizona. Pre-game coverage starts at 5:30 with first pitch at 6 on News Radio KMAN. Now back to the game.
All right, Jimmy, the floor is yours. By the way, we got a winner. It was Trevor from Topeka. How about Topeka listening into the show today? He texted in Maximus Martin. He was randomly selected, and he won the tickets. K-State baseball UCF coming up on Friday. Now we're switching chairs here. We're working on getting Brian Smoller connected and ready to go for pregame coverage, which is at the bottom of the hour here. Do we have an Ask Us Anything question?
I'm going to give the floor to Jimmy. He's got one.
Jimmy,
all right. My Ask Us Anything question is, what is something that you will not spend extra money on, or your extra spending money on?
Tough questions.
What are you most frugal with?
So where am I a cheapskate?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Canned food.
I like that answer.
I'm like, why are we buying name brand canned food? It's all the same.
That's fair.
You know, it's actually exactly where I was going to travel to. I'm going to go a little bit more broad. I love cooking. So if I'm at Walmart, if I'm at Hy-Vee, anytime there's an option between, you know, the Hy-Vee brand or the Walmart brand or, you know, your name brand or whatever, always going with either the Walmart or the Hy-Vee because I mean, there's just no reason. Like I'm going to make something good. It doesn't need to be that extra sauce, you know?
You can't miss with Hy-Vee.
Exactly.
What, Jimmy, do you have an answer?
For me, I'd probably go with like snacks. Like at Walmart, the great value like chips and stuff, I always think it's just as good, and it's like $2 less.
I don't like to live a cheap lifestyle, though. That's just not who I am. I used to be. It kind of runs into the family to be a little bit of a cheapskate. Look at something and be like, well, it's $10 more than I want to pay. Probably not going to do it. No splurging, anything like that. We're kind of tight, even though we don't need to be tight. We got K-State baseball coming up here at the top of the hour. Do you have another question, Jimmy, before we get out of here? We got dealing with a lot of stuff on the other side of the glass. You got anything else, Jimmy?
Let's see. If it was your choice, what K-State logo would you choose to represent a specific sport? Like would you choose to use different logos for different things?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd love to switch things up, but are you asking, if I could only have one logo, which would I go with?
No, let's say, for baseball, you want to use Sailor Willie, just as an example. Would you choose, you choose and what would you choose? That was just kind of off the top of the head.
Oh, I don't know. That's a really tough question. I mean, I do have my favorite logo. And I like what they call the Cocaine Willie, the screaming wildcat.
Is that the one that's looking straight at you or to the side?
Yeah, it's to the side. It's screaming, fluffy.
I would put that one for basketball. And for baseball, I would use the one that's straight ahead because I feel like it'd look good on a hat.
It needs to be used more. K-State baseball bringing it back for the throwback uniform was a phenomenal call.
Yeah.
It has become my favorite throwback look for anybody. Well, besides basketball and the lavender and the two-tones. All right, we got to wrap it up. K-State baseball coming up next. Brian Smoller will be live from O'Brien Stadium in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Game 1 is next.